to put to rest any comparisons to Johnny Manziel. Both quarterbacks are Heisman Trophy winners. Both are a little short by quarterback standards, and both have issues on and off the field. But Baker is clearly trying to separate himself from Johnny. Take a listen.
We're two completely different people. I've always had love for the game. I've always been a team-oriented guy. Not saying that Johnny wasn't, but I've quickly earned the respect of my teammates because of how I worked. You know, I wasn't given the natural talent that Johnny had, and because he's a talent, and there's a reason he got taken in the first round. Amazing player, and so we're just not the same mentally. Just wired differently, and I didn't want to be portrayed as the villain or somebody like that. I feel like I make a lot of people happy. I do good things within my community. And not try to say those cover up any mistakes that I've made, but there's always a learning curve when you're growing up.
Shannon, how valid are the comparisons between
Joey, did the sun go down?
Because
the shade sure did come out real quick. He ain't trying to cast no. I ain't trying to say this about Johnny, but you saying this about Johnny. I quickly earned the respect of my teammates. Are you saying Johnny didn't have the respect of his teammates at Texas A&M?
That's pretty much what he said.
He wasn't a...
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do it like this. I got two quarterbacks, quarterback A, quarterback B.
Yep.
Both are 6 foot tall, maybe a little less. Both won Heisman Trophy. Both had troubles with alcohol off the field. Both had issues with immaturity at some point in time. Both can make plays in and out of the pocket, though player A made a little bit more plays with his legs.
He did.
Player B made more plays inside the pocket.
He did.
Which one you want? But at the same time, exactly. Now Baker Mayfield, is up to you to change the narrative once you get drafted.
That's
because
correct.
the similarities are there. Contrary to what you want, and I get it. You're on the ultimate job interview now. That's not me. But Johnny Manziel said the exact same thing. That's not him. He made a few bad mistakes. That's exactly what you're saying. I got no problem. But I don't know how you expect me not to. You spread offenses. You took very few snaps from under center. No, Skip, I mean, it's there. The only way you get to change the narrative now, Baker Mayfield, is that once you get drafted, you don't go make the same mistakes because Johnny was still immature, even after he said he was going to grow up, realizing that there's a lot of responsibility that the Cleveland Browns and a lot of trust that they had bestowed upon him, and he didn't learn his lesson. But as we look at it right now, Skip, some execs, and even with Johnny Manziel, the red flags were there. But when you want a player, you go colorblind and you don't see those red flags. And you just go right on through. And this is it. I'm not saying that his career would turn out like Johnny Manziel. But Skip, if you just look at them college, just say the 3 years in college or however long Johnny played at Texas A&M or Baker was at Oklahoma. If you just look at it, if you can say there's no similarities, I don't know what I'm reading a different book or I'm watching a different news station.
I am with everything you just said. Baker Mayfield now has a Johnny Manziel problem, whether he likes it or not. If there had been no Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield's stock would be considerably higher at this moment than it is. And I'm also not saying Baker Mayfield will turn into Johnny Manziel, but the similarities are there and they are eerie. And if I'm an NFL team, they are scary because both came from some privileged background, one in the suburbs of San Antonio, the other suburbs of Austin, Texas. So they're both Texas high school kids who were under-recruited and overlooked, both of them. So they both have some overachiever. They both play with big little man chips on their shoulder pads. Am I right? And in this case, both of them love to trash talk because Johnny could trash talk with the best. Both like to taunt the opposition. Johnny with his money thing and Baker with various crotch grabs and you know what else. And both can turn on the charm for the adults out there because when it's time to do the press conference, both can just blow you away with how mature they sound. They're both 22 going on 32 when they're around the adults. But, hey, Johnny Manziel, especially when he went over the edge in Cleveland, he decided to prioritize winning the party over winning the game. And he fell into substance abuse in Cleveland that wrecked his career, and it has become a sad story because I'm going to remind everybody, Johnny Manziel was an electric college football player. If you look at that Heisman year, that freshman year, as a redshirt freshman year at Texas A&M, it's just staggering, the numbers that he put up all the way to that bowl game against my Oklahoma Sooners, the Cotton Bowl that year. He threw for 287 and ran for 229. It's just, that's 516 total yards. Remember what he did to Nick Saban's defense?
And Skip, and how about that?
Yeah.
Their signature win came on the road in the Heisman Trophy season. Johnny Manziel in Tuscaloosa.
You got it.
Him at the Horseshoe.
That is correct. So, Johnny Manziel said last week that he has been diagnosed as being bipolar. God bless him for that. And he said he needed alcohol to sort of self-medicate his condition. Okay. But I also know that Johnny had other problems that escalated into some drug use, especially in his days in Cleveland. Hard stuff. That's what I was told. And I don't know anything about that with Baker Mayfield yet. All I know is he had one alcohol issue in which he was arrested for public intoxication and ran from the police. And what he was doing in Fayetteville, Arkansas, you got me. He was allegedly with his girlfriend, and they were out partying.
He must have been on them Tiger Woods, because, you know, Tiger was in Florida and thought he was in Orange County.
I don't know.
So he might have thought he was in either Oklahoma or Texas because, hey, you know that stuff that old Snoop got.
I got it.
Joy.
And not that Arkansas is an arch rival of the University of Oklahoma, but remember once upon a time, Johnny, after he was leaving Texas A&M and was about to be drafted, he wound up at a fraternity party at the University of Texas in Austin. Yeah. So it's kind of similar. What are you doing, guys? What are you up to here? And I am told by the many people I know in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, that Baker does like to club. He likes to be the center of attention at the nightclubs. And I'm not saying that's bad, because it might be just fine. But he had an alcohol issue, and so 2 + 2, is it going to equal 4? I don't know.
Baker Mayfield should be, don't be mad at us for making the comparison. Be mad at yourself for putting yourself in that situation.
I did.
Because if you didn't have the off-field issues, we would probably be comparing you more to Russell Wilson. Because, and maybe a Drew Brees. But because you put yourself in that same sentence, you leave us no choice.
I would agree.
So don't be mad at us. Be mad at you.
And just for the comparison quickly, if we go back on the field, Russell Wilson timed 4.55 in the 40 at his combine. So he can really run. And he is extremely, as we all know, elusive. Baker has a little elusivity, not like Johnny. Not like Johnny, but certainly not like Russell Wilson. But can Baker throw it from the? He can really throw it from the pocket, and he led the NFL, not the NFL, the college football in QBR 2 years ago, and was second this past year. Those are good numbers. But Johnny was #1 in QBR that Heisman year.
Exactly.
Okay, so their stats, if you look at their passing stats, they're eerily similar. And I'm saying, okay, so now what? Can you throw it again? Baker measured at the Senior Bowl 6 feet 3/8 of an inch. So he's just he's almost a half inch taller than Johnny.
And Johnny Manziel measured 5'11" and I think a quarter, and was what, 207.
Baker's 220-ish, I think.
That's what they say we're gonna see at the combine, because they had the Johnny Manziel at like 6'1", 215. And either he shrunk or maybe they put him in, you know, that shrink wrap. You know, I just say products. They shrink wrap.
So is Baker Mayfield Drew Brees? He is not Drew Brees. Okay, so. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. I was disappointed as an Oklahoma fan in Baker with 3 chances to take over that Georgia game. National semifinal late in the game, 1 in regulation, 2 in overtime, and he came up small. Now, was it a result of the play calling from Lincoln Riley, the new head coach? Maybe. You could put it on Lincoln Riley. But again, he didn't make the throw or the play or the run or the escape to take over the game against a really good Georgia defense.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. Drew Brees wasn't Drew Brees that we know of right now. Russell, now we knew about Russell, but a lot of Russell because he wanted to play baseball, and the coach says you choose one or the other. He says, well, I'm going to play both. So he transferred and went to Wisconsin. But when Russell got to Seattle, he wasn't projected to be the starter. They had just signed Matt Flynn in the offseason and gave him $10 million. Drew Brees, Atlanta wanted Michael Vick, so they packaged, you know, so they got Drew Brees and LaDainian Tomlinson. But nobody thought Drew Brees would turn into what he, even in San Diego, and he went to the Pro Bowl. Nobody thought Drew Brees was going to be this once he got to New Orleans, Skip. Baker is coming in with more attention and more credence because of winning the Heisman Trophy and getting his team to the BCS championship. But, I mean, Baker, that's your fault. These off-the-field activities, this immaturity, you brought that upon yourself. We're not just throwing stuff out. You make it seem like we making it up. Like, oh, y'all just trying to paint me. Look at it. Look at Johnny Manziel and just look at you. You follow, it's almost like you're reading his handbook.
I would agree with you.
But
and again, I'm hoping he doesn't turn into Johnny, because Johnny's turned into one of the sadder stories in the history of football to me.
But Baker, when you get drafted, you can make this all go. That would be where the comparison can stop.
Well, he's trying to get drafted high.
Yeah.
So
Johnny Johnny, I don't believe Skip at 6 foot tall. I just don't believe, and the red flags were there with Johnny. I just don't believe Johnny was going to be a top 5 pick, a top 10. Had Cleveland not jumped back in and get him, he might have fallen out of the first round.
He might have. And it took a text to Dal Loggins, who's in the quarterback coach, who was in the war room, saying, let's wreck the league together. And Dal showed it to...
He wrecked the Browns, and he wrecked his own career.
Well, he wrecked his own career for sure.
And he got Darryl Loggins fired up. Johnny Manziel cost a lot of people their job in Cleveland. And that's what happened. That's what makes it so sad. You want to ruin your own career, have at it. But, man, don't be bringing other people into this. But, that's Cleveland for
It's
you.
all on Baker now, but Mike Florio is reporting that teams might continue to make this comparison just to test him throughout the process. And the combine starts next Tuesday. So maybe just watching him to see if he snaps a little bit.
No, I mean, you can say all you want to. I'm just reading. Player A and player B.
Yep.
It's too many similarities for us
How
to
much
ignore.
would you give up for Nick Foles? We'll discuss that next.